romantic love. But we've been expanding this theme this weekend in our church. Yesterday, folks who were able to join the Agape gathering were able to deepen their spiritual love for one another in very special ways. But we're also part today of a national preach-in on climate change. And so we're expanding that spiritual love out to include our deep, deep caring for our planet and all of its inhabitants. This event is sponsored by Interfaith Power and Light, a national organization, and spiritual communities all over the country this morning are giving sermons and doing activities to raise consciousness about climate change, and I'm proud that our little community is part of this. Now, you might wonder why I'm not waiting till Earth Day, which is an option, although everything is happening this morning, but you know, it's too late now to only talk about this once a year. It's happening now, climate change. So, is it real? I think it's hard to think that it's not, but there's a lot of stuff going on to really help us feel like we can truly believe that this is true. I mean, in addition to what we see, 97% of climate scientists agree that it's happening. The recent report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was produced by over 600 experts from 32 countries and approved by 195 nations. It synthesizes over 9,000 scientific publications. And there were 54,000 comments. I mean, it was a big deal and probably one of the most rigorously reviewed scientific documents in history. And it concludes, the warming of the world is unequivocal, and that over recent decades, human actions have been the primary cause. And this was compiled at London University. It's not good news. It's not pleasant. But like someone who's been diagnosed with heart disease or diabetes, not changing daily habits, it's just a surefire way to get worse and probably die from that disease. That's how it works, right? I wanted to build on Father Doug's sermon from a couple weeks ago. And he spoke about our relationship to the earth and reminded us we have a choice, that we, not some external God, hold the power between life and death on this planet. I think that was and it is still very moving to me. I think our gospel today reiterates this. What if we saw the leper in our gospel as the earth herself, begging to be made clean, knowing that if Jesus, if the divine human wills it, we can heal her. We know in our church that we can be this divine human. And so we should know then that we can will this healing. It's interesting because the gospel says, I do will it. Father Doug read, I will do it. Both are true. Both are needed. We must put our spiritual insights and love into action because Christianity, any spirituality, is not a spectator sport. So, why is this a spiritual issue? I mean, how do we connect climate change with our spiritual life? So spirituality is fundamentally about a worldview, a cosmology. How we see and understand who we are in the great divine mystery directs and impacts how we live our lives every day and every moment. What we see around us reflects our cosmology, and unfortunately, what we mostly see around us on our planet is not God's creation in harmony with peace and love and health for all. What we're now seeing more and more is people separated from caring about one another, about our very home, this planet. and the life we share it with. And often we're separated from really caring even about ourselves, our soul, and our bodies. This is strange because from the looks of how we've treated our planet, it seems we only care about ourselves. But we have not cared enough about what is holy in ourselves, because if we did, we would recognize holiness is the same as wholeness. That we are part of a larger whole called life, and our oneness with all of life would cause us to see and act like we and all of that life are sacred. Now this would be a healthy spirituality, a healthy cosmology, because if we truly lived from that, we would see health all around us. In Care of the Soul, one of my favorite authors, Thomas More, writes more about this, why we may be experiencing such a disconnect with the sacredness of life. And I love what he has to say. We can only treat badly those things whose souls we disregard. It's a simple idea. If you don't love things in particular, you cannot love the world, because in a way the world doesn't exist except in individual things. Anima mundi refers to the soul in each thing. Care of the world is attending to the soul that resides in nature as well as in human beings. He talks about the word ecology, which I had no idea. It comes from the Greek oikos. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It means home. It means dwelling place. I thought that was amazing. So speaking from the point of view of soul, ecology is not earth science, it's home science. It has to do with cultivating a sense of home wherever we are. The things of the world are part of our home environment. And so a soulful ecology is rooted in the feeling that this world is our home, and that our responsibility to it comes not from obligation or logic, but from affection. And then there's Pope Benedict XVI. Whatever you may feel about him, even he spoke many times about this. In August 2008, he says, "The brutal consumption of creation begins where God is not, where matter is henceforth only material for us, where we ourselves are the ultimate demand, where the whole is merely our property and we consume it for ourselves alone. I think, therefore, that true and effective initiatives to prevent the waste and destruction of creation can be implemented, developed, understood, and lived only where creation is considered as beginning with God." He's made the connection. Our crisis is a spiritual one. Now we can change our ways based on fear or based on love. Unfortunately, fear does work. I mean, as we look at the changes happening on our planet, the superstorms and the droughts and the forest fires and all manner of other disasters, it would have to be a totally enlightened, on the one hand, or else a totally numb person, on the other hand, to not be a little scared, or a lot scared. But I much prefer the motivation of love, of affection, because it reflects a cosmology that we ultimately live in a benevolent universe. I want to change my ways because I feel tenderness and affection for my earth home and all life. I love this image of the earth as our mother, as the Greek Gaia or the Roman Terra, because as a being, it encourages me to feel affection. If the earth is just a thing, it's harder. As a being, I can remember to love, because love is our call, not just here at church on our feel-good Sundays, but in all little and big things, we are invited to practice love. Now, I'm really excited as I did all the research and got completely overwhelmed preparing. So many faith communities are really getting involved in this issue. They have created so many organizations to inspire people to make caring for our earth home a central spiritual issue. And in your little booklets, I've included this list, and I apologize for this. I hope it won't be overwhelming, but there are so many fabulous resources out there. And so I've included just a bunch of websites. There is so much wonderful work going on by our brothers and sisters of faith in the world. And I hope you will take a look at this and look some of these things up.